So in today's video, what I want to talk about is of course everything we've heard these past couple of days in regards to Battlefield 2042. A couple of days ago we did have the earnings call, and I didn't really want to make a video straight after that because I figured, well, everybody else will be doing the same. So if you do want to check out everything that was said in the earnings call and get some opinions from different YouTubers and content creators, then I would highly recommend checking out some other different channels, because in today's video what I wanted to talk about is specifically a few different things that was mentioned in the call, and also elaborate on that a little bit further, because if you're not aware, after these earnings call there is a second, more internal call in which analysts can ask more questions and EA can elaborate further on some of the things that was mentioned in the call and of course within the financial report. So I've been speaking to an analyst that I do definitely trust. He's been in past earnings calls and was also in the internal earnings call after the public one, and he's been elaborating on a few different things, giving his thoughts and opinions. Of course, he is a industry analyst. It's his job to give investors as much advice as possible, so I definitely trust everything that he's saying, and of course it's definitely a very good idea to get other opinions when it comes to predictions and stuff like that. But essentially what I want to talk about today is of course that 10% figure and that 5% figure that EA did put on Battlefield 2042. So if you're not aware, what they said is that Battlefield in this fiscal year is going to equate for less than 10% of EA's net bookings, and although that originally that did seem very low, what you've got to think about is that EA's net bookings for fiscal year 2022 is $7.65 billion, so at 10% that's still $765 million, in which EA is expecting Battlefield 2042 to rake in for fiscal year 2022, and that does end in May this year. And if we take that as a little bit less, maybe 8%, somewhere around that region, that is still $612 million. And although that is a lot of money, it's not on a scale that we would expect for such a huge game, especially when you compare it to the likes of Call of Duty. But more interestingly, that was overlooked by quite a lot of people, is the fact that EA also said that Battlefield 2042 is going to equate for less than 5% in fiscal year 2023, which is around $375 million, and because he said much less than 5%, I've just taken a 3% number, which is still $225 million. And although that EA still does value this as a significant portion of money, what we've got to look at here is that less than 5% number that was given for fiscal year 2023 does indicate that EA are not really looking at something like a free battle royale integration. It does seem that EA are looking at a free-to-play aspect, as I've covered previously, and I've speculated in the past that is likely going to be a portion of Battlefield Portal. But what these numbers indicate is that EA are not really looking at something like a Call of Duty and Warzone integration, with Warzone being free to play. Now the reason I'm saying that is because they're still forecast, if we do take that 3% number for example, $225 million in fiscal year 2023, which is significantly less than what they should be expecting if they did some kind of free to play battle royale. Now taking Call of Duty and Warzone as a prime example of this, when the Call of Duty and Warzone integration happened, Activision made $536 million in microtransactions alone for that first quarter, which of course is 2 times as big as what EA are forecasting for Battlefield 2042 for the entire year. Now, although that Call of Duty and Battlefield are definitely not in the same league, what you've got to bear in mind here is that $225 million number at 3% number that I did say is still including digital and physical sales plus microtransactions, and if for example Battlefield sells another 3 million copies over the course of fiscal year 2023, that is going to be over half of the forecasted amount of revenue that Battlefield 2042 is going to rake in during that year. So it does indicate from a financial standpoint that they don't really have any big plans for a massive integration with the likes of a Battle Royale. Of course, things may change over the course of the next couple of months, because as we've seen previously these past couple of days, it seems that EA and DICE are having more major shake-ups within the company, and we're not getting that Season 1 until summer 2022. Now, as well as this, after the call, what was mentioned is that ripple effects are still being used as additional resources for DICE to help improve Battlefield 2042. And as well as this, Marcus Leto's new studio, which has not been named as of yet, is being used for available resources if DICE do need those resources for the game. Now, what we do know about Battlefield 2042 is, of course, DICE did develop the game. Ripple Effect are meant to be doing all of the DLC for the game, and Marcus Leto is meant to be adding a additional storytelling element to the Battlefield universe. But what seems like was mentioned from the earnings call, after the earnings call, should I say, during the internal earnings call, is that Ripple Effects are still helping with sorting out the mess that is Battlefield 2042, and Marcus Leto's new studio is going to be available for resources if it is needed. So when we go and take a look over on Twitter, Marcus Leto did tweet out a couple of things yesterday, saying, for example, I can't say much about what is happening, but I can say that I'm glad to be working with lots of talented devs at EA DICE, Ripple Effect, as well as my unnamed Seattle studio, who genuinely care about Battlefield. Now, with this statement, and I would love to be proved wrong on this, hopefully he does tweet out something like this, but I don't believe this is referring to Battlefield 2042, but the Battlefield franchise as a whole. What we've got to remember here is that Battlefield 2042 is meant to be the cornerstone for future Battlefield content, and future Battlefield titles are meant to be expanding on Battlefield 2042. From my understanding, this is why we got the likes of the specialists, because they are likely going to go over into the next game, and they're just going to continue adding specialists and adding characters, adding lore and depth to the Battlefield franchise. But I think the problem that Battlefield has at this particular moment in time is that, well, the specialists don't really have any depth. There is no lore, there is no background as such. Of course, there is a paragraph or two in the game and on the website, but apart from that, we don't really see anything else in regards to the specialists. So it would be cool to see in the future, maybe we'll get some storytelling trailers like we did with Exodus and Irish, for example. I think that would be pretty cool, and I think that is what Marcus Leto's job is with the Battlefield franchise, and also now with Battlefield 2042 expanding on what has already been established. In addition to this, I also covered this in October, I believe. The next Battlefield title is already in pre-production, but it's unclear on when exactly it is going to release. Now, I did say, I think it was mid last year, that it was slated for a 2024 release, but then soon after I made that statement, Andrew Wilson did say in an earnings call that Battlefield titles will release biannually. Now, unfortunately, it isn't entirely clear on exactly when the next Battlefield title is going to release, because I don't even think EA knows at this particular moment in time, but it is from my understanding that Marcus Leto's tweets is in regards to the next Battlefield title and the Battlefield franchise as a whole, rather than Battlefield 2042 specifically, because of course they are already working on the next game that I covered in October, and of course what they've already reiterated with the analysts after this earnings call. And I also, with the past leaks in regards to the next game, I also said that the next Battlefield title is going to be a hero shooter of sorts, as I'm doing some quotation marks in the air, and it's my understanding that it is going to be some kind of expansion on the specialists, but as of yet it is just too early to know exactly what that means. And of course, with everything going on with Battlefield 2042, it seems that that could just change. We've seen with my Battlefield 2042 development video that, well, gaming development is a very fluid process, and things can change on a month-to-month basis. So we'll just have to see on how the future of Battlefield is going to turn out once I get more details. But in regards to the next Battlefield title, I likely won't be covering that until we get much closer until the release. As well as this, in regards to Battlefield 2042, there was, of course, the big major announcement that Season 1 is going to be pushed into early summer. If you're not aware, early summer starts on June 21st, 2022, so it does indicate we're not getting Season 1 until after this point, which would likely put Season 1 in the time frame of July 2022. Now, what that could entail for Battlefield 2042 Season 1 and all of the details regarding that is that we're likely not going to see as many details as we would like until EA Play. Now, if you're not aware with EA Play, it does typically take place in June. I think the only exception to that was last year in 2021, when it did take place in July, but nonetheless it is only a month difference, and EA Play does typically fall in a June time frame, but that would indicate that we're probably going to be getting a lot of significant details in regards to Season 1 at EA Play. Now, although that this might seem like incredibly bad news to a lot of people, what I would urge everyone to do is just simply play a different game until Battlefield 2042 Season 1 does indeed come around. There is a lot of different and good alternatives out there, such as World War III, Hell Let Loose, BattleBit, and also the previous Battlefield games. But as much as I do hate on DICE over on Twitter, and I make fun of them and I poke fun at them and stuff like that, in every single one of these types of videos I've always reported that DICE are doing a great job in trying to address all of the issues within Battlefield 2042. What we do have to remember here is that ultimately a lot of this does come down to DICE management with all of the decisions that was made in Battlefield 2042, and now that the majority of those are gone, it is a good sign for Battlefield 2042 and the future of the Battlefield franchise. Now, although that I will not be personally getting hyped for a future Battlefield game, I do think there is a lot of weight there that there is now the likes of Vincent Pella, Marcus Lito. We've also got Rebecca Cortez and so many other great people that have now come into Battlefield, is that we've just got to sit tight now and just see what happens with Season 1. And the best way to do that, in my opinion at least, is to just play a different game until Season 1 does come around. Of course, I will continue to report on everything I hear in regards to Battlefield over the coming months, and I guess over the coming years for the future of the Battlefield franchise. But yeah, I think the best thing to do right now is just to play a different game, enjoy ourselves with a different game, continue supporting all of the Battlefield creators that have had to step away from the franchise because of Battlefield 2042, and just enjoy ourselves again and just see what happens when Season 1 does indeed come around. But anyway guys, I'm going to leave the video as that. Of course, if you've not subscribed, please do so, it greatly helps out the channel, and if you've not liked the video, please do so, it's greatly appreciated. I've been Tom, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.